This red line on the map is the most expensive line on the entire planet. A line that forces airplanes to burn 5,000 tons more fuel each year, spend $1.5 million more, and delay passengers for hours. Yet, no one dares to cross it. Why? Because beneath this line lies the death zone, a 2.5 million square kilometer expanse of the world's tallest mountains, the lowest oxygen levels, and the most unpredictable weather on Earth. A place where, if even one engine fails, the pilot has only one option: surrender. Today, we're revealing the biggest secrets of this forbidden zone, from hidden regulations to political truths no one tells you. This video is the real story behind why planes don't fly over Tibet.
Why does this happen? Well, there are many reasons, but before we delve into that, you need to know about the aviation history in this region. The dead zone in question is located over a geographic area known as the Tibetan Plateau, which is one of the largest wastelands in the world. After Antarctica and northern Greenland, the Tibetan Plateau is the least hospitable place for humans to live in the entire world and is also the most sparsely populated region. This area is more than 5 times larger than France, yet only about 14 million people live across the 7 countries it spans. The low population is due to the fact that the average elevation of the plateau is over 4,500 meters, making the Tibetan Plateau the highest geographic region in the world, earning it the nickname, the Roof of the World. This nickname is well-deserved, as the Roof of the World has been one of the biggest obstacles to aviation for decades.
The first large-scale attempt to fly over the plateau occurred during World War II, when the Allies, at that time in British India, needed to airlift supplies to China to assist them in the fight against the Japanese. The route was not particularly long, just over 840 kilometers from eastern India to Kunming in China. However, due to flying over the mountains and high plateaus of the Tibetan Plateau, pilots faced severe turbulence, wind speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, temperatures cold enough to freeze their fuel, unpredictable weather events, and almost no emergency airports to divert to in case of an incident, not to mention the occasional intervention of Japanese fighters. All of these hazards added up to an incredibly dangerous flight path that, over the course of 42 months, resulted in the loss of 594 planes and 1,659 men who went missing in the mountains, never to be seen again. The vast majority of these losses were a direct result of the dangerous elements the pilots were flying through and not due to enemy action. This rate was even higher than the total losses during the entire Battle of Britain against the Germans. In some months, as many as 50% of all Allied planes flying this route were crashing, which, of course, is a casualty rate that is by no means acceptable for a modern airline today. Fortunately for modern airlines, the Tibetan Plateau has gradually opened up in the decades since World War II. The first airport in Chinese Tibet was built in 1956, and the modern airport in the Tibetan capital, Lhasa, was constructed a decade later in 1965. Today, there are 2 significant international airports located on the Tibetan Plateau, in Lhasa and Jining. Both of these airports primarily handle domestic travel to and from other parts of China, but Lhasa has a single international flight to Kathmandu, while Jining maintains flights to Taipei, Tokyo, and Kuala Lumpur. So, it is true that there are sometimes planes flying over the Tibetan Plateau in modern times, but almost every international flight between East Asia and the West deliberately avoids flying over it. So, why do most airlines continue to avoid flying over Tibet on their longer flights today, despite the existence of modern international airports and the ability to actually fly over the mountains? Ultimately, it comes down to 4 primary reasons that we are going to discuss, the first of which is the extremely high risk during emergency situations. Think about this: the average elevation of the Tibetan Plateau is over 14,000 feet, and passenger airplanes typically fly at altitudes above 30,000 feet. Normally, this is not a problem, but in specific critical emergency situations like cabin depressurization or engine failure, the airline protocol is to descend to 10,000 feet. In a cabin depressurization scenario, the plane will drop oxygen masks for passengers to breathe, but there is only a limited supply of oxygen, generally around 20 minutes. This time is designed to allow passengers to breathe while the plane descends to 10,000 feet, where normal breathing conditions can be restored. Now, it is evident that this is not possible anywhere over the vast Tibetan Plateau, which is more than 5 times the size of France because its average elevation is over 14,000 feet. This means that if an airplane were to descend to 10,000 feet as required by protocol, it would almost certainly crash into the side of a mountain, resulting in fatalities for everyone on board. If a cabin depressurization occurs over Tibet, the only nearby major international airports that are safe and close enough for most large airliners to divert to in an emergency are Lhasa, Jining, Kathmandu, Chengdu, Urumqi, and Almaty. These airports are all hundreds or thousands of kilometers apart and are mostly located around the uninhabited plateau. For example, when a plane flies from Kathmandu to Lhasa, both Kathmandu and Lhasa serve as alternate emergency airports in addition to being the destination. Long-haul international flights between Europe and Asia avoid flying over Tibet because they do not want to risk encountering an emergency situation while flying over it. However, there are not many short domestic flights either due to the low population. The Tibet Autonomous Region in China has just a little over 3 million people living across the entire vast area, meaning that despite Tibet occupying almost 13% of China's total land, it only accounts for 0.2% of China's total population. The next 2 reasons why long-haul flights avoid flying over Tibet are severe turbulence and the risk of jet fuel freezing. When fast winds move across the plateau and the mountains, the wind often takes on a wave-like pattern. When airplanes fly through this wind pattern, the turbulence can become extremely bumpy, which can further complicate any emergency scenarios. Finally, there is the issue of jet fuel. Theoretically, jet fuel freezes when the temperature drops below -40 degrees Celsius. And while extremely cold conditions like that rarely occur in any places where jets fly, the temperatures in the air above the already high and cold Tibetan Plateau can reach that point or worse. This is not really a problem for a short flight through, but for longer flights across the plateau that might last 6 hours or more, this can become a significant issue, ultimately. The main reason why airplanes almost always avoid flying over the Tibetan Plateau to reach their destinations is not because of some supernatural curse or anything like that, but a simple reality. If they were to experience an emergency while flying across it, it would perhaps be the most dangerous place anywhere over the inhabited continents of the Earth to experience such a situation. It serves as a reminder that despite how advanced, connected, safe, and small our world may seem, there are still a few wild and remote areas left that are dangerous for us to travel through.
Now that we've reached our destination, I have a request. If you enjoyed the journey, please hit the like button. Think of it as pressing the push to start button in the cockpit. This lets YouTube know this flight is worth repeating. If you'd like to join me on future adventures, be sure to subscribe. It's like getting your membership card to the Curiosity Plus Club. But wait, there's more. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll get a direct message from the captain for every new flight, ensuring you never miss out. Now, it's your turn to take the controls. Let's head to the comments. What was the most surprising reason we covered? Or if you know a secret detail we didn't mention, share it with us. I personally read every comment and give the best ones a big thumbs up. If you have a friend or colleague who loves aviation or is always traveling, send them this video and ask, which reason did you already know? Thank you for flying with me. Until next time, may your skies be clear and full of wonder.